This is an annual report that we do, and the idea is to look at economic indicators in the state of Vermont and really think about them from the perspective of how Vermont families are doing. So instead of just looking at sort of is the economy growing or not, but who's actually benefiting from it and who's thriving and who's not in Vermont. Vermont was one of only 10 states where the median income fell. So, but just again, looking back over the longer trend, it's just been flat for a decade, over a decade. And what we look at is if the median income had kept up with sort of the high-end wage growth, that the median income would be $6,500 more. What we found in a lot of this research is that wages are really the problem. When we look at sort of the cost of living in Vermont or the cost of kind of the big household ticket items, those are pretty average, but the wages are low. A lot of what we've looked at is have we recovered the ground we lost during the recession? And we're sort of just getting to that point, especially on the low and middle wage ends of the scale. What the Federal Reserve of Boston found a few years ago is that even though that gap is smaller, income inequality is increasing at a faster rate in Vermont. So we are seeing the kind of income inequality. Income inequality, it's not just that it feels unfair, right? It's also that it causes additional problems. It slows economic growth. It causes poverty. It causes poor health outcomes. The wider that gap is, the worse those things get. We're seeing this happen in Vermont just like everywhere else. And of course, the federal tax cuts, this last round of federal tax cuts is only making it worse. Whatever the reason, whether it's temporary, long-term, whether you're able to work, not able to work, let's start with that premise that you should be able to meet your basic needs, and that therefore we should provide what you need to be able to do that. What we do see in terms of the poverty trends in Vermont is that we've had a pretty core persistent problem. Some years it goes up, some years it goes down. Pretty much we hover around 10%, and that's been true for decades. And the other piece is who's most likely to experience poverty. So certainly people of color in Vermont are much more likely to experience poverty, which is true across the country, but also true here. I'm certainly in favor of policies that would work to help make life easier for working families. I think that would attract more working families. I think it would also make the lives easier of the Vermont families that are already here.